As the sun rises over the pyramids, a new dawn in African gymnastics. For the first time ever at the setting of the Cairo International Stadium, a full podium set up for the Cairo World Cup. This is a first ever moment in this continent, but it won't be the last. This is an ambitious place. This is the Cairo International Stadium. It's in a beautiful part of the world and it's going to host a fantastic gymnastics competition over the next several hours. We've got a lot to come. 5 finals taking place. The conclusion of the FIG Artistic Gymnastics World Cup calendar. But it's absolutely clear that in this land of antiquity, in this land of ancient civilization, the future is the focus for African gymnastics. The Egyptian Gymnastics Federation are excited to be hosting this World Cup once again, and as I said earlier, for the first time with a full podium. It really looks magnificent. So we're going to be bringing you the women's vault and uneven bars finals and the men's floor, pommel horse and rings competitions. Lots to enjoy before tomorrow. We think about things like the balance beam, the horizontal bar, the parallel bars, and the women's floor final. The men's vault as well will take place tomorrow. And all of it in this fantastic setting of the Cairo International Stadium. There's a very distinctive look to the Cairo World Cup. It's unlike any other FIG World Cup event. They've taken great pains to give it this strong sense of identity, and the gymnasts have spoken really enthusiastically about being here, how much they enjoy participating in this event. We welcome out onto the stage the finalists in the men's floor competition. Adam Koga of Algeria, Justin Lebreau of France. 7th and 6th best in qualification respectively. We have some gymnasts here who've got great track records in FIG World Cup competitions, and indeed in just about all the competitions out there. There is Nazar Ciperni, for example. Noah Seifert of Switzerland, an Olympian. Niels Dunkel. Gentleman who competed at his 2nd Olympic Games in Paris. And there's no surprise that this is the top performer in qualification, Milad Karimi of Kazakhstan, the bronze medalist at the World Championships in 2023, and somebody who has had an excellent season in World Cup competition. Now, by the looks of things, we have a change to proceedings with Yuri Yemelyanov coming in as the first reserve. And how fitting that we start with Adam Koga of Algeria on a day where we have 7 African finalists competing at the Cairo International Stadium. Shortly to come, the men's floor final. That will get us underway. We'll then have the women's vault and pommel horse final simultaneously, and the women's uneven bars and the men's still rings finals side by side too. So here are the first 4 gymnasts who'll go in this men's floor final. As I mentioned earlier, we'll begin with Adam Koga of Algeria, there Justin Lebreau of France. first time in a World Cup final for Justin Lebreau. Really special moment. We've got a lot of gymnasts who are making their first appearance in World Cup finals, including a young gymnast from Egypt in the women's competition. And we have there Yuri Yemelianov, who has come in as the first reserve, the 17-year-old Ukrainian who made the floor final at the Baku World Cup. Great experience in the veteran Bulgarian Eddie Penev. The top performer in qualification for this men's floor final, Milad Karimi, but there can't be any surprise about that. He was the gymnast who won the title in Cottbus. He really has had a fantastic World Cup season. Eddie Penev won the bronze medal in this event in 2024. It's great to see some gymnasts who are appearing at their first World Cup competition since the Olympic Games, like Niels Dunkel. We've seen it throughout the season, returning athletes. It's one of the really special features, actually, of these World Cup events. After an Olympic year and at the start of a brand new code of points, you see gradually, step by step, some of the favourites from the previous Olympiad marking their return to international competition. And we have gymnasts who are really appearing on our radar at international level for the first time. Adam Koga of Algeria, born in Levallois-Perret in France. He's 22. He made his World Cup debut earlier this year in Antalya in Turkey. Formerly a French gymnast, now competing for Algeria, just regrettably not quite coming out of that fully rotated. Better looking pike position, that was nice. Lots of power. He scored 13.033 in the preliminary round, the 7th best. A nice, elegant looking arabesque. Yes, he's certainly comfortable with his pike positions. Again, it's difficulties in the tuck position at the conclusion for Adam Koga, just as was the case at the start. But a lot to really enjoy about this young man's work. And a special moment for him as he makes his maiden bow in a World Cup final. He's been a junior Mediterranean Championship medalist. He's been a national finalist in France at under 18 level. So certainly a young man of real pedigree. Doing well in his twisting work to start with, keeping the heels together. Just skids off the back of the feet as he lands. Quite a bit of knee bend in the pike position there. That will carry some execution losses. Decent, consistent clearance in the Wendeschwings. As I mentioned earlier, wonderful that we've got 7 finalists representing African nations today. In this, the inaugural World Cup to be held in this continent. And I can tell you it's a reasonably cool day in Cairo for this time of the year. Not hugely hot. Temperatures have been around the mid-20s. The score is 11.733 for Adam Koga. He's lost a couple of tenths of difficulty, but the lion's share has come in execution deduction, so he's down by about a mark and a third from the preliminary stage. This is 20-year-old Justin Lebreau of France, from Rouen. First time he's participated in a World Cup final. Very nice young gymnast, and unfortunately he has a similar issue as Koga on the opening tumbling pass. Good stability in the mandatory scale. Nice and poised going up into handstand. Good basic work. Just as was the case with Adam Koga, this is a performance that's growing in stature as he goes through it. Well, huge congratulations to Justin Lebreau, first time in a World Cup final. He trains in Normandy, lovely part of France. Very accomplished skier when he's not in the training gym. Aspirations of becoming a teacher as well. Somebody with a very keen interest in the development of youngsters. Certainly he will be down from the 13.155 that he received in qualifying. But it's a memorable moment for any gymnast who gets to the televised final stage of World Cup competition for the first time. It's 12.166 for Justin Lebreau, so he is down by about a mark from qualification for obvious reasons. A couple of good young gymnasts to get us started, and we're carrying on in that vein. This is Yuri Yemelyanov of Ukraine. He's in as the first reserve for Niccolò Vannucchi of Italy. Qualification score 12.866. He was a finalist on floor at the Baku World Cup earlier this year. So we are seeing some issues with the opening tumbling passes. Had so much power there that he didn't quite manage to stay in bounds. Much better, got good height. tucking around with effectiveness. No issues with his balance. And unfortunately, quite a big tumble out of bounds at the conclusion. Well, he wasn't expecting to be initially in this final, Yuri Yemelyanov. There's no doubt that he's a really good young prospect for the Ukrainian team. And these sorts of occasions, these World Cup competitions, very beneficial. For him, it's just about getting out there on the World Cup circuit on a regular basis, getting into more finals, getting used to consistently delivering his routines. And we've seen in World Cup competition this season quite a few good young Ukrainian prospects coming through. It is, as you can see, a sizable arena. Gymnasts have got quite a walk to get to the area where they receive their results. And the whole thing has really been transformed by the creation of the full podium setup. It's lent a real touch of class, actually, to the whole competition. .633 for Yuri Yemelyanov. So that is regrettably a drop of 2.2 or thereabouts from qualifying. Now, certainly somebody who one would expect to contend coming up next. Great performer on this apparatus. The bronze medalist from last year's Cairo World Cup, Eddie Penev of Bulgaria. A gentleman who we've seen re-emerge on the international stage in his mid-30s. Good, powerful opening tumbling pass. 13.633 in qualification, one of the best scores. Really a case of so far so good for the Bulgarian. He's on course to go quite comfortably into the lead. Just takes a moment to set himself for that scale. Touch on the tentative side. But the tumbling really strong from Eddie Penev. What a display that was. Doesn't he know it too? Excellent performance. That is likely to contend for a place on the podium. He made the floor final at the Baku World Cup. He was 6th in Osijek. But as I mentioned earlier, 13.633 in qualification here, the second best score. Some very clean landings were a dominant part of this display. Not huge numbers of execution deductions to come. Straight away, the reaction of an experienced man who knew it had gone very, very well. They will know there's going to be a change to the seating order. Labro leads on 12.166 as things currently stand. Fascinating, isn't it? We've had 3 young athletes come through, and then the veteran just grabs control of this final. Might be better than qualification. Well, he looks absolutely thrilled. He's seen his score come through. I can tell you it's 13.966 for Eddie Penev. And indeed, he is up by 3/10 from the preliminary round, so he's gained about a third of a mark. Execution sharper, difficulty 2 extra tenths, all very accomplished. But you can tell so much, can't you, from the reaction of the gymnasts themselves? Because they know, 99% of the time they know, and I'm sure it's the case for you if you are a competitive gymnast, that you just have a feeling about it the second that the routine is done. That brings us to the halfway stage of this men's floor final. This is who we have to come. Nazar Cheperny, Noah Zeifert, Niels Dunkel and Milad Karimi. Now that performance from Eddie Penev has somewhat set the cat among the pigeons from a scoring perspective, because the only gymnast still to go who scored higher than that in qualification is Milad Karimi, but barely, by a single tenth. So Penev has raised the standard a little compared to qualification. And let's see how others follow. He certainly has the capacity to get onto the podium. Nazar Cheperny of Ukraine, third best in qualification, the score 13.6. He was on the podium in the Baku floor final, the start of the season. Does well to stabilise that landing. Oh, no need to stabilise that. That was bang on. He's had a very compelling season in the World Cups. He's been a medalist on vault, on parallel bars and on floor. Good flares. First gymnast to use those. And a different sort of balance as well. Trying to get that extended leg up into the Y position. The Yeah, lovely height, really nice height on the final tumbling pass. Nazar Ciperni, 13.6 in qualification. One of many athletes here who competed at the Paris 2024 Games. And again, there's absolutely no doubt that the podium is going to change courtesy of this display, with Justin Lebreau currently second on 12.166 and Adam Koga third on 11.733. He's somebody, Nazar Ciperni, who's been out there on the World Cup circuit for years. It's been such an important part, as it tends to be for Ukrainian gymnasts, in getting him experience for big worldwide competitions like the World Championships, like the Olympiad. So he knows just how vital it is to be coming to these events and producing high-level performances, getting morale-boosting scores, feeling ready as the season goes on. And one imagines he's going to be pretty thrilled about that. 13.866 for Nazar Ciperni, an improvement from qualification of about a quarter of a mark. So Penev holds on to the lead. Noah Seifert from Switzerland, fifth best in qualifying with 13.3. One of the gymnasts who's making a return to international competition at the moment after competing at the Olympics for the first time. What nice control throughout that whole little sequence from the 26-year-old. Good conclusion. He was a little low as he landed, but the pike position very nice, and the control of the landing strong as well. So Noah Seifert, again, you would imagine will be on the podium with 2 to go with a display like that. 3 times he's been the Swiss all-around national champion. Two to go. Niels Dunkel and Milad Karimi. Thirteen 13.966, 13.866, 12.166, 1, 2 and 3 as things stand. And just to remind you that we've still got the top qualifier, Milad Karimi, to come. Wasn't able to compete in the all-around final at the Olympic Games, Noah Seifert, as there were two other Swiss gymnasts positioned above him. And he has scored 13.6. So it is 0.3 higher than qualification, puts him into third place with 2 to go. So it's Penev, Ceponi and Seifert. Niels Dunkel. A 28-year-old who competed at the Olympic Games for the second time last summer, where he was 18th in the all-around competition. He's also a youth Olympian from just over a decade ago. Starts well, 8th best in qualification, 13. Based on the difficulty of his qualification routine, the execution will need to be right up there, unless he throws a few little extra surprises in. Doing really well to hold the lion's share of his landings. Didn't necessarily have the crispest form in that final tumbling pass, but a lot that was really accomplished in that display from Niels Dunkel. He made his comeback to international competition at the DTB Pokal, competition that takes place in Germany earlier in the spring. .6 plus required to be on the podium, still with the top qualifier to come, Milad Karimi. And we look out over the floor at the Cairo World Cup 2025. Great to have your company. Always great to have his company as well. One of the top World Cup performers about to go. And I hope you're enjoying this competition and enjoying your weekend wherever you're watching from, wherever in the world you call home. And we look back at the performance of Niels Dunkel. .1 was the execution scoring qualification. 4.8 difficulty. Picked up the single 10th bonus. This looked a lot better. Famous last words. We'll see if the score reflects it. Certainly from an execution standpoint, it seemed more compelling than the mark that he received in the preliminary round. Well, yes, the score has come in 13.466. And look at that execution score, 8.666. He's just missed out on the podium. I said earlier that he would really need enormous execution to contend. Well, he did produce the joint highest execution of anyone in the final, but the difficulty not quite there. Nonetheless, that was lovely gymnastics from Niels Dunkel. And so to Milad Karimi, who scored 14.066 in qualification. If he gets that here, he is the champion in Cairo. It is clear that Eddie Penev has not left him much margin of error. But Milad Karimi is a young man who loves a challenge. And he loves winning World Cup medals. He's getting close to 25. What a quick and controlled move up into the diagonal armed handstand. Very elegant looking twisting. Very nice demonstration of toe point in the balance. Oh, I really got the body tightly into the tuck position, opened out with clarity, and what a nice conclusion to this final from Milad Karimi of Kazakhstan. He's been the overall World Cup champion on floor, and that's why. He's also been on the world podium. Twice in the top 5 at the Olympic Games on this apparatus too, so the pedigree is huge, as is the quality. What he has is crispness to his positions in flight. When he twists, he keeps it sharp and smooth looking. When he does a handstand, he points the toes. When he tucks, then the knees really come into the chest. So Penev 13.966, Cheperny 13.866, Seifert 13.6, Karimi 14.066 in qualification. Has he done it? Won the title on floor in Cottbus, won the title on floor in Doha, bronze in Osijek. He really is having a great start to the new Olympic cycle. It's his. There's the champion, 14.133, Milad Karimi of Kazakhstan. Eddie Penev taking the silver medal. Nazar Cheperny bronze, and Noah Seifert just dropping off the podium right at the conclusion. Wonderful display that from Milad Karimi. Highest execution score. And I go back to that point about the crispness of how his tumbling looks in flight. Bronze to Nazar Cheperny of Ukraine, silver to Eddie Penev of Bulgaria, the gold medal to Milad Karimi of Kazakhstan, the men's floor final in Cairo. Huge congratulations to Milad Karimi on what has been an absolutely fantastic season on this apparatus. And he's not half bad on the horizontal bar either. I mean, he's won a couple of titles there in World Cup competition. .866 for Nazar Ciperni. And how good was he? The oldest gentleman in the final, 13.966 for Bulgaria's Edi Penev. Going one better than he did last year in Cairo. And he certainly gave Milad Karimi a tough task. That 14.133, an improvement from qualification. In just a moment or two, we'll move on to the women's vault and men's pommel horse finals. Here they are, the finalists in the women's vault competition. We'll start with the 7th best qualifier, Chon Jin-ah from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Well, huge congratulations to Judy Abdallah, the Egyptian gymnast who's had a great record at the African Championships, but this is her first time in a World Cup final. Sihem Hamidi of Algeria, 8th best in qualification. She's been a continental finalist on vault too, but fantastic to see her back in a World Cup final after she made the final in Doha several years ago. On the subject of good to see people back, Ellie Black, the Canadian veteran, indeed the Canadian legend of artistic gymnastics, returns. Jo Kyung-bol of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the 2nd best in qualification, vault bronze medalist at the Asian Championships last year. Tegan Shaver of Canada, 4th best in qualifying, bronze medalist at the National Championships and at Elite Canada. Valentina Georgieva of Bulgaria, the top performer in qualification, the champion in Osijek at the World Cup in Croatia. Oksana Chusovitna, who won in Baku and who finished 3rd in Cottbus. She was the 5th best in qualification. So we've got ourselves a very entertaining women's vault final to come. The gymnast on the left, Judy Abdallah. So excited to be in this final. We had a chat with her yesterday and she's absolutely thrilled that this moment has come. And it's come after a lot of hard work. 5th World Cup, first time in a final. We'll see her later in the uneven bars competition too. Now let's have a look at the men's pommel horse finalists. Benjamin Osberger of France, 8th best in qualification. National champion on the pommel horse. Zenola Idrisov, a favourite of World Cup competition this season and the bronze medalist at the last Junior World Championships. He's also the Junior Asian champion. Everywhere you look at the moment, we've got great youngsters coming through on the pommel horse. This is Brandon Dang of the United States of America. He won the gold medal in his World Cup debut in Baku. Patrick Hoops, also of the USA, was the silver medalist in Baku, and he was the second best in qualification here, with Dang fifth. And let's just throw in for fun the Olympic silver medalist, Nariman Kurbanov of Kazakhstan, sixth best in qualification with a score of 14.2, but he's been on a podium 3 times this season. I tell you what though, watch out for this young lad, Gabriele Targhetta of Italy, top qualifier, 14.766. He is a brilliant young gymnast on this apparatus. Hamlet Manoukian of Armenia, third best in qualification and winner of 2 World Cup titles already this season. And we finish with another very stylish gymnast on this apparatus, Ravshan Kamiljanov of Uzbekistan. He's been a World Challenge Cup medalist. Well, it really is a bringing together of the top performers across World Cup competition this season. It's going to be a very engrossing head-to-head in this men's pommel horse final. We have then the juxtaposition of the women's vault and the men's pommel horse in tandem. Great to see Benjamin Osberger returning. He'll be the gymnast who gets us underway, and he's got full colours already at World Cup level. The first 4 gymnasts in the women's vault final will get underway with Chon Jin-ah of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. We anticipate that we'll see the same vaults from her as we will from her teammate Jo Kyung-bol later on. They both produced a double twisting Yurchenko followed by a handspring front pike half in qualification. These are the first 4 to go in the men's pommel horse final. We've got the 8th, 7th, 5th and 2nd best qualifiers to get us started. And we have there Judy Abdallah, experienced gymnast from Tlemcen, the second largest city in the northwest of Algeria, a city known as the Pearl of the Maghreb. When it comes to experience though, that takes some beating. Although Oksana Chusevitna will have a go and will succeed. But wonderful that Ellie Black has returned, having competed at the Olympic Games for the 4th time. The first Canadian artistic gymnast to do that, and she has made completely clear that the target now is Games number 5, that Los Angeles is the goal. All of the gymnasts have got very different purposes coming to these World Cup competitions. Some of the athletes that we've had the chance to catch up with over the course of qualification have been clear that they've come here to get into a final for the first time. They've come here to win a medal, they've come here to win a title. Some have said they're just here as a phased return to top level competition, and this is one of their staging posts, if you will. So every athlete has come here with their own internal sense of goals, of what would be an ideal outcome. Someone like Benjamin Osberger, for example, in a very different position from someone like Hamlet Manoukian. Whatever their circumstances, we wish them the best of luck here at the Cairo International Stadium. It really does look absolutely fantastic the way they have set up the arena. As I mentioned earlier, it's the first time that there's been a full podium set up in an African competition. A lot of the gymnasts have had the opportunity as part of their time in Cairo to go and do some sightseeing. The organisers of the event have put on trips to the pyramids, which naturally everyone has devoured the opportunity to go and see. Now, this is a gymnast who, if she performs her first vault more cleanly and clearly than in qualification, could immediately become a contender for the podium. She was the 7th best in qualifying, but that could change. Chonjin Ah from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Team silver medalist at last year's Asian Championships. She's 17, from the capital city of Pyongyang. And unfortunately, hands going down. She scored 7.933 for her opening vault in qualification. Execution score very different from the 8.733 that she received for the second vault. It was still the higher scoring vault, 12.933, due to the higher difficulty. Let's have a look again. Both she and Jo Kyung-byul will, we believe, open with the double twisting Yurchenko. So the score is in. Opening vault scoring 12.4. Double twisting Yurchenko from Chonjin Ah, down by about half a mark from qualification. Second vault for the 17-year-old. Oh, it again doesn't have a huge amount of clarity to it. Not the easiest of landings. Good to see that she does seem all right after that. Well, we'll come back to the women's vault competition in a moment. Now we head over to the men's pommel horse final. Benjamin Osberger of France. 8th best in qualifying, 14.166. Execution was lovely in the preliminary round, not enormously high difficulty, but performed ever so well by the French champion on this piece. It does unfortunately just lose the leg form there and comes off the apparatus. But I just remind you that Benjamin Osberger, who put in such an effort to make it to the Olympic Games, and he really did give everything that he had, has not competed at international level for a little while. He has had some well-documented injury issues over the years. This is looking better. Straightness of the body has come back nicely for the Magyar-Shivado combination, and he does smoothly go round into his dismount, pirouetting well. Definitely on a pathway towards contending internationally once again, Benjamin Osberger. .4 for the first vault for Jeonjin Ah. So 12.516, the average score. Now we go to Judy Abdallah of Egypt. Huge congratulations to the 16-year-old who lives about 5 minutes away from this arena. Well, how nicely done. Very secure Yurchenko vaulting from Judy Abdallah. Silver medalist at the African Championships last year in Marrakesh. She was also the uneven bars champion. We're going to see her in the uneven bars final later. An example there of well-controlled difficulty and good execution. There were quite a lot of young fans in the arena yesterday for qualification and the day before, and she couldn't go anywhere without people wanting to get photographs with her. She's enormously popular and she's wonderful with her young fans as well. She's been an African junior champion on vault as well. Well, we'll come back to that. 12.566 on pommel horse for Benjamin Osberger. I can tell you 13.1 is the vault score for Judy Abdallah. She's down only by a few hundreds from qualification. .1 confirmed for Judy Abdallah. Very nicely done. What a good performance from this young gymnast from Egypt. Big reaction from the crowd as well. Judy Abdallah. Second vault, the more complicated of the two. We'll come back to that in a moment. Benjamin Osberger, 12.566, so he is down by just over a mark and a half from qualification. We go to Zenola Idrisov from Kazakhstan, 7th best in qualification. Bronze medalist in Baku, silver medalist in Antalya. He was 4th at the World Cup in Doha. He's a very impressive young gymnast. Has a tiny loss of his leg form, but moves rapidly across the 3 sections of the apparatus. He really has been an impressive young performer this season. Zenola Idrisov, the junior champion of Asia. Also the joint World Schools champion on the pommel horse. Now there's no doubt that this is a total transformation for Judy Abdallah. 13.2 for the second vault. The layout Sukahara with a full twist, and that was so much better than qualification where she scored 12.666. All of that means 13.15, and she could well be in contention for a place on the podium. Thea Mahamidi of Algeria, 21 from the northwest of the country, 8th best in qualifying. And she does well. She has been an African Championship finalist on vault. Looking pretty steady in the handspring front pike. Now we anticipate her difficulty will be the lowest of any of the finalists, but she had some really good execution in the preliminary stage. Looked very much in control of this vault. Good tidy pike position, small landing adjustment. She's very central in terms of her line. As I mentioned at the start of our coverage today, 7 finalists from African nations across the 5 events today. .5, just a 10th down from the preliminary stage. Last time we saw her in World Cup competition was Cairo in 2023. Here's the second vault. Takes quite a sizable back step coming out of the layout Sukahara. But some good work there from Siam Hamidi. 14.4, Zenola Idrisov is up from qualification by 0.2. Interestingly, he's taken out a little difficulty and has gained execution. Brandon Dang of the United States of America, grew up in California. Did so well in Baku, winning his debut World Cup. He's got very impressive core strength. Good straight body position, the heels remaining nice and tidily pressed together. It's very swingful, very kinetic. Fender swing's nice. He's just a little close to the edge of the apparatus. But look at the power in the Magyar Shivado sequence. And did lose his leg form there, but he disguised it beautifully. Cracking young gymnast. He's so impressive. Siham Hamidi, 8th best in qualification. 12.083, 11.666 for the second vault, so she's down by just over a tenth from the preliminary stage. Now we go to Olly Black of Canada. A matter of about half a year away from her 30th birthday, indicating that she'll do a handspring front layout with a full twist as the opening vault.
Hi, Olly.
Fabulous to see her back. Well, Olly Black returning to international competition, returning to World Cups after she won a bronze medal on the beam in Paris in 2022. Amazing to think that she has 8 times been the all-around national champion. So much excitement, not just among the youngsters who've come along to watch this competition, but also among the gymnasts of the world that Olly Black was here. She's somebody who gymnasts themselves are so keen to get a photograph with, to have a chat with. So she has the 4.4 degree of difficulty that she was given in qualification, 13.233. Virtually the same as qualifying. Second vault for Olly Black, 3rd best in qualifying. Does really well again. Good return this from the veteran Canadian. Now, Brandon Dang goes into the lead, 14.533. He is 0.2 up from qualification. Patrick Hoops, second best in the preliminary round with 14.666. He was the silver medalist in Baku. Gymnast from Utah. Representative of the Air Force Academy. A little bit older than Brandon Dang by a few years. Again, he's got very good form. Smooth performance. Travels so nicely across the apparatus. Well, if it continues like this, this is going to do extremely well. That just looked in such control throughout. Yeah, no wonder he reacts like that. He's quite right to. That's going to be hard to beat. Now, this is where things are going to be interesting, because the second vault for Ellie Black scores 13.6. Her layout Tsukahara 1.5 twist. And that is totally different from qualification, 0.9 up. That leads to an average of 13.616, so a half mark gain, and she is well and truly at the top of the leaderboard. Now we have still to come Jo Kyung-byul of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. She was the second strongest performer in qualification with 13.483. We also have Valentina Georgieva, who was the top in qualifying with 13.599. All of that, though, has been changed by Ellie Black's score of 13.616. This is what we have to come in the second half of the men's pommel horse competition. Nariman Kurbanov, Olympic silver medalist. Gabriele Targhetta, the hugely impressive top qualifier. Hamlet Manoukian, third best in qualifying but double World Cup champion this season. And Ravshan Kamiljanov of Uzbekistan, who was the fourth best in the preliminary round. So we've got a long way to go until we have clarity in this men's pommel horse final. Oksana Chusevitna was the fifth best in qualifying. She will be the last gymnast to go. Score still to come in for Patrick Hoops. It's going to be up there, whatever it is. Oh, it's not just up there, it's in the lead. 14.7. Patrick Hoops goes into the gold medal position. He gains a few hundredths from qualification. So there are the top three in the men's pommel horse. USA 1 and 2, Kazakhstan third. to a young gymnast from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Just 18 from Pyongyang, Jo Kyung-byul, bronze medalist at the Asian Championships last year. Well, that is a good opening vault. She is certainly somebody who could make a case for a place on the podium. The Asian Championships, her only previous international competition. Just had a little loss of form, got it back together well. 8.7 was the execution score in qualification. And it's 13.8 for Jo Kyung-byul. So a 1/10 gain. Very much at the races now. Second vault indicating a handspring front pike half. Now, she did have quite an adjustment as she landed, but she certainly has got the numbers to get onto the podium as things stand. To Nariman Kurbanov of Kazakhstan in the men's pommel horse final. Silver medalist at the Olympic Games, an extraordinary accomplishment. He's already had quite a few podium finishes this season, but he was only the 6th best in qualification in this hugely competitive field. And we have a really enjoyable pommel horse final going on, as we thought we would get. He's so good at minimising form breaks, at keeping crispness, but he didn't quite get what he was aiming on the conclusion of that routine. A little shake of the head from Nariman Kurbanov. We'll come back to that in a moment. 13.25 the average. So the handspring front pike half was down a little from qualification. 12.7, but it's only a small change. So 13.45 for Jo Kyung-byul. Representing Canada, Tegan Shaver. Young gymnast from Ottawa. Based in Quebec, and she won the bronze medal at the National Championships and at Elite Canada. Opting to start with the vault from the Tsukahara family with a full twist. She's just committed to studying at the University of Nebraska. University with a fine Canadian connection. Emma Spence having recently won the first Big Ten Bars title for the university since 2015. 13. That is very similar to qualification, small drop. And she's vaulted really well, Tegan Shaver. Very smooth, very secure. Difficulty-wise, others have a little bit more, but it was crisp and clear. 14.5 for Kurbanov, so he is 3/10 stronger than qualification. The execution was very good, 8.8. Gabriele Targhetta of Italy, top qualifier with 14.766. If he gets that here, he does go into the gold medal position with 2 to go. He has developed his craft enormously of late. He's actually taken a little difficulty out, going from a 6 to a 5.9. He thinks that's made his work cleaner. Does well to stabilise a potential form break there. Body position is really straight. He's done well to keep this going. Yes, lovely. He's very excited to have had a new dismount named after him as well. Teenager with enormous potential. And he said that he was probably the last of all of the gymnasts to go on the tour of the pyramids. We had the chance to speak to him actually in front of the Great Pyramid. That might be a pretty great score coming in. 13.05. The average score for Tegan Shaver, 13.1 for the second vault. Full twisting Yurchenko. Now we go to Valentina Georgieva of Bulgaria. She looked as though she was just slightly gingerly walking away from the vault during the warm-up. Now she's indicating a double twisting Yurchenko. She didn't do it in qualification. She certainly did it there. Yet again. That is a vault that she performs extraordinarily well. Not the first time that she's chosen to take a little difficulty out of the qualification process. I believe she did a 1.5 in the preliminary stage. She gets enormous time in the air. Won the title in Osijek. She's going to be way up from qualification, 13.9. That's a gain of close to half a mark. Just about 4/10. So we've absolutely got a gymnast in contention now for the title. Second vault indicating the layout Tsukahara with 1.5 twists. Oh, unfortunate. Unfortunate from Valentina Georgieva. Just sitting that one down and watching on Ellie Black, who knows a thing or two about that vault. Oh, well done. 14.766, exactly the same as qualification. Gabriele Targhetta, well, he's been working on the consistency and he's produced exactly the same numbers as the preliminary stage. But you know what? This one's not done yet. Hamlet Manukian, penultimate gymnast to go in what is turning into a star-studded pommel horse final. Turns 18 in a few months' time. He's been a delight to watch this season. Incredibly quick Wenderswings in the centre of the apparatus with such good hand placement. Again, the heels are just so together. The body has a straightness, and it's his quickness in the Magyar Shivados that is quite breathtaking. Oh dear, dear. These youngsters coming through on pommel horse are a treat to watch. Wow. You just get the feeling that we have got years of world-class drama in pommel horse finals to come. Golly. One of the things that the Armenian coaching staff say they're very proud of is the culture of respect and of humility that exists in their gymnasts, how they really respect each other, how the young gymnasts look up to the older gymnasts, how the older gymnasts try hard to be role models to the youngsters. 13.05 for Georgieva. .2 the score for the second vault. So we've got just one gymnast who can change things. The podium as it stands has Judy Abdallah of Egypt in bronze. Jo Kyung-byol of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is guaranteed a medal. She's second. Ellie Black is guaranteed at least silver. She's in the lead. Here goes Oksana Chusovitna, making her case to get onto the podium, and slightly chuckling as she walks away. A slight delayed lack of stability as she landed that. .066 in qualification. .766 this time, the execution unsurprisingly dropping. Big reactions, by the way, coming in the arena, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. And we now expect the handspring front pike with a half twist from Oksana Chusovitna. That had a greater degree of stability to it, so it's going to be very interesting to see if she can challenge Judy Abdal, who is in third position. It might be that the numbers favour the young Egyptian, and that would be a huge moment for her. That is why all of the cheering was going on in the arena. 14.8, Hamlet Manoukian into the gold medal position, and with an execution score of 9.2. That's just extraordinary. And that will be the World Cup title. Ravshan Kamiljanov of Uzbekistan seeking to make his case now. 14.366 for the 21-year-old from Tashkent. By the ages of many of these gymnasts, he appears to be a grizzled veteran, but he himself is a youngster and somebody who was at Junior World Championship level only in 2019. A nice gymnast to watch on this piece as well. He has been a World Challenge Cup silver medalist. Loses his leg form, gets it back well, gets the kinetic energy restored. That's a great recovery. Beautiful, rapid Wendeschwing. It's been such a nice pommel horse final to watch. Ravshan Kamiljanov of Uzbekistan concluding things. For Oksana Chusovitina. We'll come back to her as we have a look at that young lad. Now Chusovitina has a 12.916 score, factoring in the bonus. And that is why the crowd has responded as they have done, because Judy Abdal has won a bronze medal, and that is a wonderful moment for her in her debut in a World Cup final. Well, when we spoke to her yesterday, she was just overjoyed at having made it to 2 finals. I think we can take whatever she was feeling yesterday and quadruple it now, because she'll be absolutely astonished. But she shouldn't be astonished, because she's a great young vaulter and she's had continental success. But now she's on an FIG World Cup podium. She's joined by Jo Kyung-byul of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and Ellie Black of Canada. Now, what about this young man, Ravshan Kamiljanov? Last score to come in the men's pommel horse final. .033, nice performance from him, down only by about a third of a mark from qualification. He's lost a little difficulty, and that means we can confirm that it is Hamlet Manukyan who has phenomenally won the last 3 World Cup pommel horse titles all in a row. And by the way, let's not forget young Gabriele Targhetta, who was only a few hundreds behind. Well, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. So many of the gymnasts have been thrilled to be competing alongside Ellie Black and wanting to get a photograph with her. Wasn't that a wonderful pommel horse final? Hoops, Targhetta and Manukyan. But this is such a deserved moment for Judy Abdal of Egypt. She takes very seriously being a role model for young athletes. And it is part of a very interesting story in this country, because Egypt's numbers of practicing gymnasts recreationally and competing, the numbers have enormously increased over the last 5-6 years. And so what we are seeing is probably a greater sense of profile of gymnastics in this country. It gets more television coverage than it used to. And maybe the next wave of gymnasts is coming through here. Ellie Black is your champion. We've said that a lot over the course of her career. We'll probably keep saying it. Great that she's returned. She's accompanied by Jo Kyung-byul of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, who vaulted ever so well. Aren't the 2 young American pommel horse specialists so nice to watch? Brandon Dang and Patrick Hoops. You get the sense they push each other, and that's always a healthy thing. It's good to have friendly competition. Certainly no sense that they are anything more than just healthy sporting rivals, wanting the best for each other and learning probably from each other as well. Hoops gets 14.7 for bronze. Very close final. Gabriele Targhetta 14.766 in receipt of silver. And he again is just a teenager. And he's still not quite 18. Well, it seems very simple this season. All we need to do at the start of a pommel horse final is shout Hamlet Manoukian wins, and then we can all go and have a cup of tea. 14.8, he's done it again. Three World Cup titles in a row, remarkable. And what a place to get the third and decisive one at the Cairo International Stadium in Egypt, and the last World Cup in artistic gymnastics of this year before we move on to the World Challenge Cup Series. Classified results to come, and then we'll also bring you the ceremonies for those first three events before we turn our attention to the women's uneven bars and the men's still rings finals. The classified results in the women's vault competition. Congratulations to Judy Abdal of Egypt. She is the bronze medalist ahead of Valentina Georgieva of Bulgaria. Jo Kyung Byul of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea wins silver. That's her first World Cup honours for her. And Ellie Black of Canada takes the gold medal on her return to full international competition. The final standings in the men's pommel horse competition. Patrick Hoops of the United States of America is the bronze medalist. Silver goes to Gabriele Targhetta of Italy, and Hamlet Manoukian of Armenia wins 3 in a row with a score of 14.8. And look how tight it was between the top three. Well, I hope you're enjoying all of the action so far. A chance to look back at some of the best moments from this first day of finals in Cairo. The setting is the Cairo International Stadium. You're watching the Cairo World Cup of 2025, the last of the World Cups before we move into World Challenge Cup season. Olly Hogben here in the International Stadium. And we're going to be bringing you the ceremonies very soon as we just remind ourselves of all that has happened so far. 3 victory ceremonies to come, the men's floor, men's pommel horse and women's vault competitions. And then we'll be back into the action with the women's uneven bars and men's still rings finals. The stage is beautifully set for the ceremonies. It looks lovely in the arena.
Please welcome our gymnasts with a big round of applause for their outstanding performances.
The victory ceremony for the men's floor competition at the Cairo World Cup.
I'd like to welcome our medal presenters.
نرحب أيضا بالسادة الضيوف لتسليم الميداليات للأبطال.
With the bronze medal, from Ukraine.
Ukraine's Nazar Cheperny, the winner of the bronze medal. Yet again, he's on a World Cup floor podium. It really has been so regularly a feature of medal races this season across several apparatus.
And with the silver medal, Eddie Penev from Bulgaria.
Eddie Penev, the Bulgarian, knew straight after his performance that he delivered something special. It was confident, it was accurate, and the reward is a silver medal, one better than he achieved in the Cairo World Cup last year.
And the Cairo World Cup 2025 floor exercise champion, Bilal Hadid from Kazakhstan.
But he is always so hard to beat in a World Cup floor final. The gold medalist in Cottbus, the gold medalist in Doha, and the gold medalist in Cairo. All over the world, it's Milad Karimi who takes centre stage.
Awarding the gold medal, Mr. Julio Marcos Felipe, FIG Technical Delegate.
الميدالية الفضية تقدم بتسليمها السيدة ياسين سميرة لسان عضو المكتب التنفيذي من الاتحاد الافريقي للرقص. أما الميدالية البرونزية تقدم بتسليمها الدكتور على حامد عضو مجلس إدارة الاتحاد المصري للرقص.
And in just a moment, we will have the national anthem of Kazakhstan.
All rise for the Kazakhstan national anthem.
السلام الوطني لدولة كازاخستان.
The sounds of Menin Kazakhstanim, the national anthem of Kazakhstan.
شكرا للاعبين.
And there they are, the medalists in the men's floor competition at the Cairo World Cup. Two more ceremonies to bring you, and we will be moving on to the next of them in just a moment.
Women's gold.
تبدأ الآن مراسم التتويج. نهاية بطولة كأس العالم للباص على جهاز حصان القفز.
The victory ceremony for the women's vault competition at the Cairo World Cup.
Presenters.
المركز الثالث والميدالية البرونزية اللاعبة المصرية جودي عبد الله.
Judy Abdullah of Egypt, the bronze medalist. She lives 5 minutes away from the arena. She said it's the easiest place for her to come to work. Well, it's one of the most important places in her career now because she's on a World Cup podium for the first time. As is this young gymnast, Jo Kyung-byul of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, a two-time medalist at the Asian Championships on vault and with the team last year, but new to World Cup competition. What a great performance from her.
Gold champion. Elizabeth Black from Canada.
Ellie Black from Canada. Ellie Black returning. Ellie Black, the best once again. We haven't seen her in World Cup competition for a while, but what a joy to have her with us in Cairo and producing such high quality vaulting. She improved enormously from the preliminary round by almost half a mark. To these young gymnasts either side of her, she will serve as an absolute role model of longevity in this sport. A gymnast who has set the standard nationally and internationally. and a gymnast who clearly believes she has more to offer. And if Ellie Black's career is anything to go by, she is completely correct about that. And we'll have the national anthem of Canada.
السلام الوطني لدولة كندا.
O Canada played in honour of Ellie Black, Order of Nova Scotia. And there they are, the medalists in the women's vault competition at the Cairo World Cup of Artistic Gymnastics. Not surprised that she is the one who wants to get that photograph. What a day, what a competition for Judy Abdullah of Egypt. She was born in Giza, just across the banks of the Nile opposite central Cairo, but since she was a very young child, she's lived almost right by this arena.
Give a round of applause to the gymnasts.
The medal ceremony for the men's pommel horse competition.
Presenters to the stage.
نرحب أيضا بالسادة الضيوف لتسليم الميداليات للاعبين.
For the second time this season, Patrick Hoops of the USA is on a World Cup podium.
And the silver medalist, from Italy.
Having won a silver medal at the World Challenge Cup in Hungary last year, Gabriele Targhetta is on a World Cup podium now here in Cairo, and he is a very serious pommel horse specialist.
From Armenia.
But this has been his World Cup season. In Cottbus, in his first senior international final, he finished 8th. He didn't enjoy it. He then won in Osijek, he won in Doha, he wins here. The absolutely unstoppable Hamlet Manoukian at just 17. He has written the headlines. It's a great podium of exciting young gymnasts, and we'll now have the national anthem of Armenia.
الوطني لدولة أرمينيا.
Mer Herenik, the national anthem of Armenia. The medalists in the men's pommel horse competition here at the Cairo International Stadium. Celebrations concluded for now. Action to resume soon. Let's just remind you of how we got to this stage before the finalists in the women's uneven bars and men's still rings competitions take centre stage. The action is now going to continue at the Cairo International Stadium. We've got the women's uneven bars and the men's rings finals to come.
على جهاز التوازي الوضع الفني الإنسان اللاعبة المصرية جودي عبد الله.
So let's have a look at the contenders for the women's uneven bars title. Judi Abdallah of Egypt, who's already had success so impressively in the vault competition. What an amazing opportunity to see the reigning Olympic uneven bars champion Kaylia Nemour. Selina Bousmayo of Morocco, 8th best in qualification. Ellie Black from Canada, 6th best in the preliminary round. Already the champion on vault here. Dildora Aripova of Uzbekistan, the gymnast who's been a World Challenge Cup champion. She's also been the South Central Asian champion on the uneven bars. A gymnast who is so associated with uneven bars finals in World Cup competition, Lucia Ribard. Tegan Shaver of Canada. She recently won the uneven bars title at the International Gymnastics competition last month. Croatia's Sara Šulikić, the national champion on the uneven bars and a gymnast who has been a medalist in World Challenge Cup competition on this apparatus. So there they are, the contenders. The finalists in the men's rings competition. Azerbaijan's Nikita Simonov, 4th best in qualification, the champion in Baku and the runner-up in Osijek. France's Leo Saladino, 6th best in the preliminary round. Mediterranean Games team medalist. Artuzakian of Germany, who has been a World Challenge Cup rings medalist.
Alexander Diab from the United States of America.
Alex Diab, gymnast from the United States of America, who has just recently celebrated his birthday a couple of days ago, and he celebrated winning a bronze medal for his first World Cup honours in Baku. Artur Avatisyan of Armenia, top performer in qualification, bronze medalist in Osijek and Doha. Vahan Davtyan of Armenia, 2nd best in qualification, silver medalist in Doha after winning gold in Cottbus. From Cyprus, Sokratis Pilakouris, silver medalist on rings at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in 2022. And he was also a bronze medalist with the team. And here is a special moment and a very decorated gymnast, Omar Mohammed of Egypt. 11 times he has been an African champion. He's the reigning all-around champion of his continent. He was the 3rd best in qualification, by the way. He's got a real chance of getting onto the podium. So we are about to get underway. The Cairo World Cup of 2025. The uneven bars finalists. Judy Abdel of Egypt will start. Fourth best in qualification. Then we will see the gymnast who was, fairly unsurprisingly, the top performer in the preliminary round. Kélia Namour of Algeria, the reigning Olympic champion. The first African Olympic champion in the sport of gymnastics. Now we look at the athletes who'll be taking to the skill rings. The first half of the rings final, and we'll see the gymnasts who were 4th, 6th, 5th and 7th respectively in qualification. Well, isn't it one of life's great privileges to watch this extraordinary young athlete, Kélia Namour, and not just as a phenomenal gymnast on the uneven bars as well. She is a really impressive all-around competitor. We must never forget that. Really hope you're enjoying all of the action from the Cairo International Stadium. It's been a very enjoyable session of World Cup artistic gymnastics, and we've still got these last two finals to bring you before the close of play. And still to come, tomorrow we will bring you all of the action from the men's vault competition, men's parallel bars and horizontal bar, and of course the women's balance beam and floor finals. As mentioned earlier, top qualifier in the women's uneven bars, Kélia Namour. Second best in qualification, Lucia Ribar. She'll go in the second half of the final, as will Dildora Aripova of Uzbekistan. She'll actually get things underway in the second half of the final. Third best in the preliminary round. But no doubt that Ellie Black could completely fly up the leaderboard. She only had a 6.666 for execution in qualification, but a 5.6 difficulty score. But goodness, hasn't she done fantastically today? Judy Abdallah, the Egyptian gymnast who won bronze on vault, now takes to the uneven bars. She was the 4th best in qualification, and we're privileged here to be welcoming the reigning African champion on this apparatus. And this is why. It's very nice work. Pac Salto had a very defined arch at the back. Completes a straddle Jaeger somersault nicely. And a decent looking double tuck to dismount there from Judy Abdullah of Egypt. Has to be regarded as a hugely successful day for the local athlete, who is a continental champion. She also was the all-around silver medalist and the floor silver medalist at that African Championships in Marrakesh. So it's no surprise to see her performing really well in a World Cup. Let's begin the men's rings final. And a fine place to start with a gymnast who really is a specialist on this apparatus. Nikita Simonov of Azerbaijan, gold medalist at his home World Cup in Baku. Runner-up in Osijek. He comes into this as just the 4th best in qualification, though. Let's see if he can push up to get onto a World Cup podium for the 20th time. Performs that difficult inverted cross up into a nice planche. And to a level Maltese. Good beginning this from Simonov. Pushes up with strength into handstand. And he twists around nicely to that dismount, a little piked, but quite steady in his landing. Very experienced and very accustomed to World Cup success, Nikita Simonov. .566 is virtually the same as qualification for Judy Abdullah. She's only down by a fraction. And here in Cairo, in the only World Cup event held in Africa, we welcome the first African Olympic champion in the sport of gymnastics. It is a privilege for us all to see Kalia Nemor. Indeed, it's an honour. Top qualifier, no surprise. Lovely sense of float and flight. And then grip variation to use the Ejeva, and plenty of transition work going on here. Plenty of connection work, I mean. And then that double layout, dear oh dear, that was just glorious. It's all over so quickly, isn't it, Kalia Nemor's uneven bars performance? And that's why it is so fantastic, because there is never really any wasted kinetic energy, never any wasted swing. That is way better than qualifying. 14.333, a third of a mark gained, 3/10 of difficulty. That's where it was to be won. Leo Saladino, 6th best in qualification with a score of 13.8. The young gymnast from the French Riviera. Goes nicely from planche to Maltese. Again, that's a nice level looking Maltese position. Yamawaki to Jonasson to handstand with a small amount of readjustment. And he just lost his clarity in that dismount. The form broke and the landing position wasn't quite right. That's a shame. No surprise whatsoever that she is into the gold medal position. 14.533 for Kellyanne Moore, 5.9 for difficulty, is up a little from qualification. Overall gain of almost 2/10. Now to the reigning champion of Africa on the balance beam and the bronze medalist in the all-around competition and on floor and with the team. This is Selina Bousmayo of Morocco. Special occasion for her when she achieved that continental success in Marrakesh. Nice Jaeger somersault. Really working hard to get fully up into handstand to show that she's got the right position. Increasing the power going into the dismount. Very well done. The gymnast born in Düsseldorf in Germany began representing Morocco in February of 2024. Selina Bousmayo. She's actually been the junior all-around champion of Germany. For Leo Saladino, the score is down quite a bit from qualification by about 3/4 of a mark, 13.133. We move to a gymnast who's competed at the World University Games and who has been a World Challenge Cup medalist, Artur Sahakian of Germany. Starts with a great looking Maltese. Flanche also secure. Good level shoulder line. He scored 14 in qualification. He's got the capacity to contend. Jonasson going round into a Maltese. Does work hard to hold that handstand. What a great effort, but unfortunately the dismount didn't follow. That's so often the case when a gymnast has to really fight with gravity to get the handstand right, and they just can't quite pick up the accuracy in the dismount. But some lovely work before that from Artur Sahakian. She is well up from qualifying, 12.466 for Selina Bousmayo. She's gained about 0.8 of a mark. In fact, slightly more. Now here is a gymnast who certainly could move up convincingly from 6th best in qualification. Ellie Black, already a champion on vault here in Cairo. 12.266 in the preliminary round, but not the highest execution. Didn't have the easiest start there. the difficulty score was 5.6 in qualifying. And unfortunately, couldn't get the reed grasp, rolled safely out of it. Ellie Black is one of the many gymnasts I was talking about at the start of our coverage today, who is in a particular place in terms of beginning a comeback process following her 4th Olympiad. And some gymnasts are beginning that as well, even if they didn't go to the Olympic Games. It might be they put everything into qualification, didn't quite make it there, and are effectively restarting. So for her, the goals will be perhaps a little different from those who have come here in something close to peak form for this season. She's already done pretty well, winning that vault title impressively, and she concludes that routine nicely. Certainly had very strong moments to it. 12.9. Arta Sahakian is unfortunately 1.1 down from qualification. Lots of it lovely to watch though, and it is just fabulous to see her back in the international arena, the great Ellie Black. We have 1 to go in the first half of the men's rings competition. We're halfway through the women's uneven bars. Time flies when you're having fun. Alex Diab of the United States of America, 7th best in qualification. A very happy birthday to him from a couple of days ago. 3 times a national champion on this apparatus. Did so well in Baku, winning the bronze medal. Had a difficult time in Osijek. Has a really nice inverted cross position, and then that difficult skill going round into the Maltese makes it look nice and smooth. Just had to raise the lower body up a little in that planche to get it to the right sort of alignment. But that's a tidy handstand. He's really assured to watch, Alex Diab. You trust him gymnastically. There's a calmness about what he does. Special moment, those World Cup honours won in Baku, the first of his career. We've seen him a couple of times at World University Games level. Ellie Black scores 11.866. She's down a little in difficulty and execution, a couple of tenths each from qualifying, so all of that is a drop of 4 tenths. That brings us to the halfway stage of the women's uneven bars final. Likewise the men's rings, but we do still have the score for Alex Diab to come. And there it is, 13.733. It is almost exactly the same as qualification. Just a tiny drop in execution, that's all, but fairly measurable. This is what we've got to come in the women's uneven bars final. Dildora Aripova of Tashkent, Uzbekistan, the 3rd best in qualification. Lucia Riba, 2nd best in qualifying. She's got a really good chance of getting on the podium. Tegan Shaver of Canada, the 7th best in the preliminary stage. And what about Sada Šulikić of Croatia? A gymnast who has some very tidy looking work in the interior of her routines. We're going to conclude with that gentleman. Omar Mohammed will be the last to go on the rings. The home hope, 3rd best in qualification. But before that, we've got Arta Avatisyan, the top qualifier for Hagdavtian, the 2nd best in qualification. And we have Sokratis Pilakouris, who is a real specialist on the apparatus as well. So, a lot to enjoy. Last gymnast warming up on the uneven bars. This is 19-year-old Sada Šulikić.
Coaches and athletes, the warm-up time is ended.
For the last time today, the warm-ups are over and it is time to resume. The second half of the women's uneven bars final. The second half of the men's still rings final. Representing Uzbekistan, Dildora Aripova, 3rd best in qualification with 12.7. Starts off with a Kachev variation. Oh, but she's unfortunately just lost that handstand position and regrettably, unintentionally dismounts the apparatus. Very experienced gymnast. Several years ago she won 3 gold medals at the South Central Asian Championships, including on this apparatus. It was in Bangladesh. Again, having to really work to keep stability in the handstand. Did well then to actually manage to get round into the classical Shaposhnikova, but it's just one of those days, unfortunately. And then uses the Maloney variation from the Shaposhnikova family. And she does get through the dismount with a degree of comfort that unfortunately wasn't there throughout the performance. Did have its moments though. It might be that this gentleman is really starting to come into his peak era. Arta Avatisyan, the man from Yerevan who will be so excited about the European Championships of 2027. Top qualifier here. Twice a bronze medalist this season. That is a beautiful planche. Maltese is graceful as well. tidy handstand. Snaps neatly into the Maltese once more. Again, that's a very secure looking planche. The level, the alignment is excellent. He's going very well. That's lovely from Artur Avatisyan of Armenia. He's been a World Championship finalist on this apparatus, and he has been the World University Games champion too. He's been competing at the top level for many, many years, but there's maybe just something going on here with Artur Avatisyan that he's getting better and better. And I go back to what I was talking about earlier, the level of camaraderie in the Armenian team. It's very clear. 10.233, Dildora Aripova. She drops 2.5 or so from qualification. Kelly Nemore leading. Judy Abdallah second. Selina Buzmayo third. 3 remain. Lucia Riba, the Slovenian gymnast, already has picked up a couple of silver medals this season. Very good height in the Jaeger. Katchev with nice extension into a pack salto. Good looking work. Maloney. She's really developed her power. And then a very precise looking double tuck to conclude. The really experienced Lucia Riba of Slovenia. No surprise whatsoever that he leads on 14.466, exactly the same as qualification. To the team veteran Vahag Davtyan. Second best with 14.2 in qualification. That is such a well-positioned planche going into the Iron Cross with real finger point demonstrated. Did have just a moment of uncertainty perhaps in the handstand, but not so in the Maltese. Snaps into the planche once more. And regrettably a very compressed looking landing for Vahag Davtyan. He's hugely respected, you can hear that in the reaction from the crowd and his fellow gymnasts. And Lucia Riba is into the silver medal position, 13.133. That's exactly as she scored in qualifying. That's going to be hard to displace. Well, we have 2 to go. The uneven bars champion at the International Gymnastics competition in Canada last month, a much loved event. Teenager Tegan Shaver, soon to be of the University of Nebraska. Smooth Jaeger. Good pack salto as well. She was the 7th best in qualifying. Quite shy of the handstand position there, perhaps. But there's a very authoritative feeling about that performance from the youngster. Really well done. It is a score of 13.133 for the Hagedavtian. So he finds himself in 5th place. Great gymnast on this apparatus, Socrates Pilakouris of Cyprus, the silver medalist at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. He also was part of the Cypriot team that won an extraordinary bronze medal, and probably, based on his reaction, meant more to him than his own individual success. From planche to Maltese, well. 8th best in qualifying. What a nice handstand. Hit that with such smoothness. Quite level. Never doubting those handstands for a moment. And again, he has just a little compression as he lands. And that might make it tricky for Socrates Pilakouris to contend, because difficulty-wise he may not be quite as high as some of the other athletes. He's been a continental finalist on the rings. Over we go to the uneven bars. Last performance to come in after we see this score from Tigansheva. .2, Socrates Pilakouris in 4th position. 1 to go. Now this is very interesting. It's Omar Mohammed who'll be last. Sara Shulikic waiting to perform as the last gymnast in the uneven bars final. Really good effort that from Tigansheva, 12.3. She's up 2/10 from qualification, and she's gained 3/10 of difficulty too, so really well done. 5th place for her. So it's Judy Abdallah 3rd, Lucia Fribar 2nd, Kelia Nemor 1st. 12.566 is the place holding mark for the podium. Sada Shulikic of Croatia scored 12.4 in the preliminary round, so she needs an improvement of getting on for a couple of tenths to make it into the top 3. Nicely up into handstand there. Pax Salto had authority. Van Leven. And a simple but cleanly performed dismount by Sada Shulikic. A gymnast who's competed at several European championships. So there's now a very nervous wait in the arena for her score to come in, because home gymnast Judy Abdallah is in the bronze medal position. Is it going to be a very successful few minutes for the host nation? Omar Mohammed of Egypt, third best in qualifying with 14.133. If he produces that score here, he has won himself a medal. The first ever Egyptian man to qualify for the Olympic Games. He is enormously respected here. Not to mention 11 African titles. Beautifully level looking Maltese, that's precise. Jonasson opens the body out nicely into the Maltese position to a great looking iron cross with extension of the fingers. Handstand requires stabilization. He's working hard to hold that. He's working very hard, and he's landed beautifully. Oh, well done, Omar Mohammed. There was a moment of nervousness in the arena as he just flickered in the handstand. To then show that control in the landing was brilliant. Oh, that is close. 12.533. Sada Shulikic, hundreds away from the podium, and it's more joy then for Judy Abdallah, who's won 2 bronze medals today. Lucia Riba winning silver, and Kaylin Amor, as expected, winning the gold medal. Judy Abdallah is about to find herself on the podium with the reigning Olympic champion. You can bet she'll be getting the phone out again for another picture. Now, what about Omar Mohammed? Has he managed to get onto the podium to make it double joy for the host nation? I've been talking throughout the broadcast about how much the profile of gymnastics has increased in Egypt over the last 5 years, and how much participation has gone up. But he's been there right from the start of this long journey. He is a World Cup bronze medalist. Omar Mohammed, 13.866. This absolute trailblazer for the sport in this country. Dr. Ehab Amin, who's the president of the Egyptian Gymnastics Federation, being embraced by everybody. Well, that is a wonderful conclusion for the host nation. Just got there ahead of Alex Diab by only a little more than 1/10 of a mark. She can't believe it, can she? Double bronze medalist today, Judy Abdallah. Well, if Omar Mohammed has been around for a decade or more, then there's room for a new star to be born, and maybe it's Judy Abdullah here, because based on how she was being treated by young fans in qualification alone, she'll find it very hard to get out of the building today because she was taking so many photographs with youngsters who probably will be, if they're not already gymnasts, desperate now to actually go to training and start trying to do what she's doing. And then look at that gymnast next to her, the history maker for an entire continent at world and Olympic level. And this gymnast who mustn't be forgotten in the story here, Lucia Riba, who's one of the hardest working World Cup gymnasts out there, travelling the world, getting medal after medal after medal, now 7 times on a World Cup podium, a gymnast herself who made an Olympic dream come true in Paris. Each one of them in their own way providing a wonderful exemplar to the young athletes of the world. Well, not just the young athletes, to all athletes. Doesn't matter the age. He's going to be absolutely thrilled about this moment. Your bronze medalist in the rings competition, Omar Mohammed of Egypt. Nikita Simonov, winner of the silver medal. That makes it a full set of colours for him this season in World Cup competition. But I said when we saw this gentleman about to take to the apparatus that maybe he's coming into the peak of his career, Arta Avatissian. There's something really compelling about his work at the moment. A cleanliness, a precision to his gymnastics. And he is the gold medalist in Cairo. We're going to bring you the victory ceremonies in just a little while. The classified results in the women's uneven bars competition. Bronze to Judy Abdullah of Egypt. 2nd bronze medal of the day. Silver to Lucia Riba of Slovenia, her 3rd silver medal of the season. And the reigning Olympic champion, Kéliane Amour of Algeria, is back on the top of a podium and back at international level. The classified results in the men's still rings competition. Omar Mohammed of Egypt, a delighted bronze medalist on a fine day for the host nation. Azerbaijan's Nikita Simonov finishes 2nd, and the title is won by Arta Avatissian of Armenia. After 2 bronze medals in World Cup competition this season, now he has the gold. Well, it really has been such an entertaining session, hasn't it? Let's have a look back at some of the moments of these last 2 finals. The work is done. The gymnasts now have the opportunity to enjoy the reward. 2 victory ceremonies coming your way.
Let's give a round of applause to the gymnasts.
The victory ceremony for the women's uneven bars competition here at the Cairo International Stadium.
رحب أيضا بالسادة الضيوف لتسليم الميداليات.
The introduction of the presentation party.
المركز الثالث والميدالية البرونزية اللاعبة المصرية جودي عبد الله.
I think it's safe to say she'll never forget this day. Judy Abdullah of Egypt, bronze medalist again.
Second place with the silver medal, Lucia Ribar from Slovenia.
Lucia Ribar of Slovenia wins yet another silver medal, her 3rd of the season.
Uneven bars champion with the gold medal, Kalia Namor from Algeria.
For a continent, the gymnast who became the first African Olympic champion in this sport. Now at the World Cup in Africa, in Cairo, she has returned as an absolute global superstar.
أما الميدالية الجمهورية والمركز الثالث السيد إيمان عضو اللجنة الفنية بالاتحاد الآسيوي للرباط.
And we will now have the national anthem of Algeria.
All rise for the national anthem of Algeria.
السلام الوطني لدولة الجزائر.
Kassaman, the
Congratulations to the gymnasts.
national anthem of Algeria, adopted in 1962 upon its independence from France, played in honour of Kalia Namor and her fellow medalists in the women's uneven bars competition. Yes, too right. Get that photograph, but don't ever forget this moment. You are there on the same podium as a multiple World Cup medalist and as the Olympic champion.
Now, on to the medal award ceremony for the men's artistic gymnastics still rings final.
One more ceremony to bring you before we conclude our coverage of this first day of finals here in Cairo.
Give a round of applause to the gymnasts.
أرحب باللاعبين.
The victory ceremony for the men's
Welcome
still
the
rings
medal
final.
presenters on stage.
أيضا أرحب بالسادة الضيوف لتسليم الميداليات. المركز الثالث والميدالية البرونزية اللاعب عمر العربي من مصر.
The bronze medal won by Omar Mohammed of Egypt, to the absolute delight of his many fans.
And in second place, the silver medal, Nikita Simonov from Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan's Nikita Simonov is the winner of the silver medal. And that makes it a full set of colours for him in World Cup competition this season. Also a 20th career World Cup podium appearance. Congratulations to him.
And still reigning champion, the gold medal, Artur Avitian from Armenia.
He's going in the right direction. Artur Avitian of Armenia is the champion after third place finishes at the World Cups of Croatia and Qatar. Now he is impossible to beat in Cairo. And we will hear, not for the first time today, the national anthem of Armenia.
All rise, national anthem of Armenia.
السلام الوطني لدولة أرمينيا.
Merherenik means our fatherland. It was first adopted in 1918 and re-adopted in 1991, the national anthem of Armenia. And there they are, the medalists in the still rings competition here at the Cairo International Stadium. Well, it's been a glorious day for the host nation, and also for Armenia with 2 gold medals won. So many stories and more to come tomorrow. That's it for now from the Cairo International Stadium, but we've got 5 more Apparatus finals to come tomorrow. As we look back at the best of the action, I'll leave you with the scenes of memorable gymnastics today and hope you'll be able to join us for more action tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye, but not farewell.